With me now is One Nation Leader Pauline Hanson. Pauline, it really frustrated me throughout the election campaign, and I'm a young man, that there was no message really from the coalition that would speak to something that young people would be interested in or need. The number one issue in this country is housing affordability. And if the coalition could get on top of that, and of course the continuation of conservatism, for people to believe in conservatism, they need to have some ownership over something. And that means owning a home where you can get married and raise a family. I mean, these are the building blocks of Australian society. It is bread and butter youth policy. I don't know why the coalition isn't getting on top of this stuff.
You were spot on with that, and I was about to say that with housing affordability, job security, which is another thing. Labor has bought a lot of the young votes with the HEX debt, so getting rid of that, and also propping up their deposit on the house to actually get in the housing market, which I think is going to see a lot of the young ones fall over with that because they've still got to make the repayments to their debt. But the Liberal Party, and it doesn't surprise me, Caleb, in 2018, I put a policy forward about getting apprenticeships going, 100,000 apprenticeships, which finally I had to take the coalition kicking and screaming to introduce the policy on apprenticeships, which they finally did, and 100,000 apprenticeships was created with that policy. They weren't interested in that. They don't have any idea about the young ones. And I'll tell you another thing too. There was a young fellow who wanted to join the Liberal Party. So anyway, because he'd had a photo with me, they wouldn't have him part of the party because he had a photo with me.
Really?
They're actually, because he had a photo with me when he was 15. Oh. So they wouldn't take him on. You know, I'm proud to say that I've launched the Young One Nation Party this year, and it's been fantastic to hear from them what their concerns are. You have to bring them on the journey with you. You have to involve them. You have to ask them what they want, how they see their future. And that's how I'm moving forward with the young ones. We connected a lot with the young ones through our cartoons. It's waking them up to it because they've been brainwashed in the educational system for the last 3 decades, 30 years, and it has infiltrated our system. No critical thinking, but it's been bought, the vote's been bought. We need to educate the kids, explain about politics, which we don't do enough in our universities or in our educational system.
Yeah, you're quite right. And I mean, the point you raise about the HEX debt is true too. I mean, anecdotally, I've heard of quite a number of people who voted for Labor just on that basis alone because they thought, well, he's going to wipe some of my student debt off. So I'd be stupid from a selfish point of view. I would be stupid not to vote for that. So I can understand why they did. But there are things that I think could be sold as youth policy that you don't typically think of as youth policy. The one that really worries me is public debt. I mean, you know, this financial year we'll hit $1 trillion in federal government debt. And who's going to have to pay that off? Young people. So why can't we turn things like that around and say, look, your parents and your grandparents are basically consigning you to a life of financial servitude to the government because you're the one who's going to pay off all this debt. We've got to turn this around so that you've still got a country to look after when you're older.
Caleb, a lot of people, not even young ones, but the older generation don't understand that it's the taxes that we pay, whether it's through the GST or any taxes that we pay, we buy an item or anything like that, the taxes we pay through our income tax, that actually gives us the services, and it's money that goes in the government for them to spend for our services and what we need to run the country. People don't see beyond that. They don't understand. They don't understand if the government runs out of money, they can't afford to pay for decent hospital, healthcare, aged homes, all the rest of it. People don't look that far. People have become so self-centred these days. It's all about me. What is in it for me? And the whole fact is, because they're doing it so tough, if they have to say, right, I've got to do the best for me, how do I survive? The country's changed so much since I was, you know, a girl growing up here and a young woman. And that's how I see the problem is that until the government reins in their spending and stops taxing the people, and this is another thing, our tax that we had for income splitting. So those young families whereas the wife can stay home with the children. So whoever wants work, whether or the male wants to stay home with the children, I don't care. Income split, so that will actually save them money. Split their income, so you're paying tax on the two. Two people share the income, the tax.
I agree.
So anyway, these are things that need to be changed.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, Albanese thinks his legacy is going to be universal childcare, but I mean, just look, every time they put the subsidy up, the cost of childcare goes up. It's not actually.
We can't afford it.
It's not good policy. While we're talking about government spending, Jeff Chambers in the Oz, he's done a follow-up piece on his public service expose from yesterday. Today, he's revealed that there's been an explosion in federal bureaucrats under the Albanese government. Look at that graph there. From 2019 up to now, the department is set to hit a record 213,000 staff in 2025-26. My favourite bit was the gender X, which was added as a gender category in 2017 instead of just male or female. Number of people in the public service who say their X has gone from 106 in 2017 to 974 now, so good on them. They've actually gone backwards in terms of Indigenous employment as well. But what on earth are all these people doing, Pauline?
Well, over the past 5 years since this government's been in, they've introduced 5,000 new regulations into our country. So they've increased the public service for service delivery, for compliance and everything that goes with it, marketing, the whole lot. So that's an increase of 41,000 people they've put in for this alone. So they're actually making our life worse. You put in more public servants, that means more taxpayers' monies has to pay the wages, and then on top of that you've got all superannuation on top of it, then all your benefits and everything goes on top of it. This is a drain on the taxpayers' dollars. That money, that's Albanese has also increased, and I'll tell you why. Because public servants will vote for Labor because they've got a job for life, and they're just going to not sack them. And when the Liberal Party backed away from that 41,000 in Canberra, they were going to go and work in their workplaces, and they backed away from that policy. Big mistake that they made. They should have followed through on that. You can't have someone travelling around the country in a caravan claiming that they're working from home, which isn't the case, and we're paying the monies for that. So it's this whole stupid thing. But who I feel sorry for out there is the white Anglo-Saxon male. If you're white in this country, you're flat out getting a job with the public service because they've put on, all these people, 38,000 were either cultural linguistic, from different language background.
Linguistic,
and then you have Aboriginals, then you have, linguistic, thank you. And then you have the Aboriginals, then you have all the cultural diverse people, and then you have 117,000 women. So where's the men? And that's the whole problem. And then you have all the gender X. These people, people with disabilities. So if you're white male in this country, good luck to you, mate, because you're flat out going to get a job or look in the door.
Well, that's the way
our country's going.
They needed to find jobs.
So woke.
They needed to find jobs, Pauline, for all these people that they imported into the country over the last few years. God almighty. Pauline Hanson, thank you for joining me. Great to see you as always.